Hi, everyone. Welcome to Drink It in the podcast. We are now in season 10. Yes, I forgot.
Wow.
Yeah, watch it now. We're in
Awesome.
season 10. It's awesome. It really is. And I decided for season 10 that I wanted to do something that really interests me. That's most of my seasons. It interests me, and I'm hoping it interests other people. And I thought how cool it would be to interview couples that do Instagram together. And there's this one account that I very much enjoyed, and that's the couple of bashes. That's Shaindee and Avromi. And I have them here with me today, and I would love for them just to get into it with them, get a little behind the scenes of who they are, how they met, what it's like as a couple, and then we're going to get into the Instagram stuff as well. So why don't you introduce yourselves, guys?
Awesome.
All right, I'm Avromi,
I'm Shaindee.
and we're a couple of Basches. Catch line here.
Yeah. So our last name is Basch, and we're just two Basches, so it's like a couple of Basches. That's where it came from. Started very casual, but that's who we are.
Yeah, we never thought that this would turn into a thing. We were just jamming, and we just gotten married, and we just sent out like a Shabbos clip that we were jamming. We sent it out to family, and like I posted it on my Instagram or something like that, and then we just got a flood of comments that like you guys need to open a joint account. So that's what led to this, and
Right, it was pretty organic. We're both musicians, so that has a lot to do with who we are, how we met, and what we do. Like, we can't stop.
So
Just
let's
trying.
start there.
Yeah.
Let's start there. How did you guys meet? Let's start there.
Okay.
So I was on a cruise with Costa Rica, playing for their Jewish music cruise festival, and her cousin was on the cruise as well.
It would have been a better story if I was on the cruise, right? Like, nope, shotgun style.
Shotgun style.
Okay.
Her cousin saw me, and she keeps seeing this guy playing saxophone, and she says, "I have a niece that plays guitar really well."
Cousin.
And I think this really might work. And I was a little, I was skeptical. Like, you don't really know me. You're a stranger that walked up to me.
Right.
But she tried to set it up. And
as was I skeptical because I was always set up with musicians. I dated so many musicians. I just people thought like music will go together. It happens to be I always wanted to marry a musician. They weren't wrong, but at that point I was probably a little burnt out like from dating. And I was on the phone with my parents one day, like we had looked into him for about a week, and we decided we're gonna say no, but we'll say no on Sunday. It was a Thursday. And we were just like pushing off the inevitable, I guess. That night, I go to a wedding. It was my friend's wedding. And lo and behold, Avromi Basch is the saxophonist at that wedding that night.
yes.
And
So I saw her there, and
Yeah.
I had a dilemma because I usually didn't really talk to girls at weddings. I felt like it wasn't my place. And I have like a dilemma here, break my rule. But I see here a girl who I was read to. I didn't hear back, so it's an obvious rejection. But I figured let me see what I'm missing out on. So I walked over, and I kept it short and sweet.
left me wanting more. Honestly, he came over and he was so charismatic. And that's the kind of thing you can't see in a resume. You can't understand that. And I was like, wow, I was totally going to ignore him. Like, I was totally like, you're set up, and I was just going to pretend I didn't notice you, even though we obviously both saw pictures of each other. You know what I mean? I was going to pretend I didn't know he existed. And he came over to me and completely just laid it out there like, oh, of course I know who you are. Totally unashamed. Totally went after what he wanted with so much confidence. I was like, I think here's a guy that will just go for what he wants. It was very attractive. So I came home and I told my mom that I want to date him, and that's it. The rest is history.
Wow, that's just so cute. That's so nice. It's so nice, like when you see all those different hands playing in it. Like you see,
There's way more, but
Yeah.
it's just too long. There's so many things that added to it, like so many.
Wow. So you already told me your first impression right away. He showed this confidence. If I mean, go you.
Right.
That was very smart move on
Thank
your
you.
part.
Yes, go after her.
What? Go after
Yes, I
what you
tell this
want.
to guys. You got to go after her. You got to run after what you
Right.
want.
100%. That's I'm a strong believer in that. If you like the girl, just go for it. You
Yeah,
know.
go for it. No need to play it cool. Like,
Right. No
doesn't
games, right? I can't
no
stand
games.
no games. So now, how long have you guys been married?
4 years.
4 years.
4 years.
It happens fast.
I know. I feel like I
It
just
does.
met him, but I also
Wow.
feel like I know him my whole life. It's like, cute.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I understand. Like he feels like home. So,
Yeah,
oh, that's so nice. That's so beautiful. Now, where do you guys live?
we live in Brooklyn.
We live in Brooklyn. Both our families are from Brooklyn, so it works. It works for now.
Oh, so that's really great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I grew up in
Also, most of
Brooklyn.
my work.
So, it's like I grew up in Flatbush. So
Where do you live now?
I live in Clifton, New Jersey. Most people know it as Passaic.
Okay, yeah, of course. So you have a backyard and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that's nice. One day, hopefully, we'll have one of those.
It's so funny. Like I'm like when I lived in Flatbush, I mean, there was somewhat of a backyard, but no one went to it. Like it was like I thought it was like my
concrete
favorite dungeon, right? Like it was right, exactly. I remember once I think I even planted a tree and I'm like, ooh, a tree, right? In the backyard. But that was like, and then now I have my daughter's married and my grandchildren they're all in Flatbush. And on Shabbos when we go, I'm like, oh, there's a park? I don't think I ever went to a park when I lived there. So it's like, oh, okay, wow.
Yes, in Brooklyn, you're a winner if you have a driveway, which thank God we do.
Exactly, because you can't park, right? Yes,
yeah.
You are a winner if you have a driveway to put your car someplace, 100%. So back to you guys. So was it a long dating process after because it seemed like it clicked right away?
It was like 3 months.
It was 3 months, but it wasn't like smooth sailing, I would say. It clicked, but we weren't, I mean, I'm going to speak for myself. We had a different experience. In the beginning, he says that we didn't click, and I'm like, we clicked right away. We have a different experience. But the beginning for me was very good, but then I realized that we might be on hashkafic levels, differently, on different hashkafic levels, and that put me basically into confusion until I literally agreed to marry him. I don't know. It was just 3 months of utter confusion until I realized, what am I doing? I don't know. I strongly believe that this is my theory on the shidduch crisis or whatever. I strongly believe that there's a lot more pressure on the guys. It's a lot harder for the guys to be the perfect halachic Jew than it is for the girls to be the perfect halachic Jew. And I used to think that it was different. I used to think it was harder for girls because everyone notices if we're not sneeze enough. Everyone can see that right away, but you can't see that on the boys. But that's not really true because you go on shidduch dates and you ask him if he goes to shul 3 times a day. It's a big deal.
Right.
It's a big deal. I don't know. So for them, I think it's a daily thing to keep up with so many mitzvot. And for women, it seems to be a little bit simpler. Even though, of course, tznius is hard, but it seems to be, honestly, just that.
I think it's interesting that you say that because a lot of times I remember I've been on retreats and different things and heard different speakers. And, the girls would get so goo gaggy over, a certain guy speaker. And he would try to explain to these single girls, you think I came this way? I'm how old? If you would have seen me when I was in my early 20s, you wouldn't have wanted to marry me.
Right.
I wasn't this googie gaggy, what I am today. And so I think there's a lot to do with growth. I think,
right.
I don't mean to compare a man to a house. I'm sorry. But when you walk into a house, you have to see potential. You have to have vision. And if,
right.
That's what I'm a strong believer. So I think probably is that what you're going with a little bit?
Yes, kind of. First of all, I wouldn't even say that because you never know. You can't marry someone expecting them to all of a sudden grow. I knew that. Also, I knew that dating. I knew I'm marrying you. I'm expecting you to be exactly as you are. I'm not forcing you. I'm not going to become your Rebbe. I'm not going to become your mother. You are who you are and you'll grow at your own pace. It was very important for me to know that I really fully accepted that. And of course, I'm so happy when he grows. Are you kidding? And for myself too, I need tons of growth as well. I'm not as high and mighty as I thought I was back then, But it's also more about there's the outside stuff and then there's the person. And a good husband, it just a good husband and a good Jew are two totally different things. Like, a good person, Avromi's a tzaddik. Like, he's a tzaddik. He's, the way he treats everyone around him, not just me, everyone in his life, he's so good. And it took me, I think, a few months to realize that that is way more important than everything else.
Right.
I was so silly to focus on other things. I remember thinking, like, you're so silly. You have literal gold in front of you. Why are you focusing on how many times he goes to shul? Like, that's just not, it's not what's going to keep it going for the next 100 years. It's not what it's going to, you know?
Right. I hear that. It's a issue. Like you said, there are girls that have that mindset. But Avromi, how about you? What was the process like for you?
She was a little burnt out from dating a lot of guys. So she kind of came into things like, well, let me see where this goes. And she was a little burnt out. She was like, she wasn't so motivated to keep the conversations going and things like that.
I was like fine with awkward silences. I was like, it's quiet? Okay. Whatever. He was not okay with it.
I had to put in some effort to keep things going and to dig and to ask questions and to, to inspire conversations. And also we found that like we were only able to find like once a week time to date. And every time we met up, we had to kind of start all over from the beginning. We lost that mojo. We lost the momentum. So we kind of like her cousin who was arranging the shidduch like suggested like maybe find like 2 days in a row or 3 days in a row where guys could really try to meet up. So I canceled the job. I called up this guy I was supposed to play at a wedding. I said, hey, I'm very, very sorry. I'm not taking another job. I'm not canceling to go to somebody else, but this is something very important for me because I realized that like things weren't clicking. There was nothing wrong. There was nothing. It's just like we weren't putting in enough time consistently enough. So I said, I was working every night then. So I said, I need to take a night off. So we dated one night and then the next afternoon, early in the afternoon. And then it was really strange. We had a January date or a February date where it was 60 something degrees and we were in Prospect Park and like it was perfect for Hashem. Like we got 2 really good quality days and that jump started everything. And like I finally started understanding her humor. She's hilarious. She cracks the funniest jokes, but it took some time for me to hear it enough and start getting it and tuning into her wavelength.
It's so interesting that you said that you had to give the relationship time. And I think what happens after people get married, they don't put that same effort in sometimes.
It's true.
It's true.
Especially for quality timers.
Yes.
We need it.
Yeah, that's your love language. Is that what you mean? That's your love language. You like quality time. Yeah, and then kids come. Also, if people are blessed and fortunate to have kids, that also puts in it. So it's, I would say, like, what I was going to ask about traditions, if you start any new traditions, because I know when my parents got married, they're amazing. They're still alive, thank God. When they first got married, they felt that they needed to have something in common, so they started taking up tennis together. So so you guys came in with the commonality of the music, and you continue that music. But has there been any other like new traditions that you try to implement in the relationship after the marriage to keep it just going, that you can that you feel comfortable sharing?
The music wasn't even something like we came in both being musicians, but Avromi he's a real professional and he's very good at his thing, he's whatever. So I didn't want to step on him. So in the beginning, it wasn't so we're musicians and we're going to do music together. It took a while for us to start that. Happens to be. But we haven't really, we saw this question that you said, do you have any traditions? And we thought of a really cute thing. I don't know if it's what you're talking about now, but this is a tradition that me and Avromi have. It's more like a rule that we have that really, I don't know, we adopted it and it makes our life so good, I feel like.
So we have, sometimes when, we come up with that idea, what should we do this Sunday? We try to do Sunday Fun Day, and a lot of times, we have different ideas, or, we're not in the mood, or, so we came up with a very good thing that, in order for you to reject an idea, anything, an activity, a dish, a restaurant, or whatever it is, if you want to reject it, you have to bring a better idea.
Or another idea.
Right.
You can't just reject
that. No, I don't want to do that.
Right. Like the classic couple, hey, what do you want for dinner? I don't know. Hey, pizza? No. So you can't say no unless you have a different version. I
Right.
just suggested pizza. If you have something else, we'll go to that other thing. Otherwise, you can't just reject it.
Right.
And it really works. It really works when you're trying to figure out the chalamod. What should we do? And
The
you
first person to come up with an idea just says the idea. It could be anything, but you have to do that thing unless someone else comes up with a better one or a different idea. We're going to the zoo.
right. Otherwise, you just
I don't wanna
end
go
up
to the
spending hours going back and forth. No, not this. No, not that. You know, just like.
But you know why it's even more amazing and powerful what you're saying? Because you're training your mind to focus on a solution as opposed to the problem.
Right.
That's the mindset. That's really what you're doing. You know, if I could play like therapist for a second, but that's exactly. If you think about it, you're saying to the other person, you can't just reject.
Right.
You can't just shut it down. You don't focus on what's wrong. Let's focus on what we could do better.
Exactly.
Cool.
Right? He's like, oh, he likes that. He didn't even realize that. You didn't realize you were doing that, but that's the psyche that you're behind that.
Right.
And I think that's what's so beautiful. And if you could have that mindset in everything you do, that's great. Because there's so many issues that come up in life, so many problems. But if you've trained your mind to focus on a solution, then that's an unbelievable coping skill that you just developed, that you're training your whole household to do. So that's really great. You know, you
It's
thought of it like in a
really
fun way, but that's really where it escalates. So that's great.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that tradition.
But as far as like, if you wanted to ask something more as far as tradition, we like to travel. We both came to this common conclusion. We love to travel. We want to see the whole world, and we want to show our kids the whole world.
Okay.
So, we've always been taking, in our first year of marriage, I believe we took 7 honeymoons.
Literally, yeah, that's my advice to anyone. If you're at the beginning of marriage, or if you're single, or you don't have kids yet, go as much as you possibly can. It just gets a lot harder after.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It becomes very
So,
difficult with kids. So now you go away. How often do you get to go away now?
Not enough. Maybe as far as flying somewhere, we'll maybe fly somewhere once or twice a year. But now we made a big move and we bought a bus because flying becomes more difficult with little children. So we decided that we'll just drive everywhere. And in order to do that, we love camping. We love going out into nature, and we love, getting out there. So we figured it's hard enough to travel with kids. It's also hard to set up tents every day and air mattresses and whatever. So we said, how can we still travel, be out in nature, kind of do the roughing it, but without having to do all the setups? And we figured an RV, but they're very expensive. And we've always seen those YouTube videos of people converting vans and buses. And then this is her always. So let's just do it. Right. What's the problem? Like, everyone has these things like, wow, I would love to.
I'm the crazy one that like starts everything, and Avromi's like the one that's like able to finish them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I like.
Everyone says like, oh man.
It sounds beautiful. It's actually very complicated in our relationship, but.
Right. It's easy to say, hey, if you want to do it, let's just do it. And like, that just takes a tremendous amount of commitment and time, which I sometimes get very OCD, so I have to see things through.
Right. We're basically converting a shuttle bus into an RV now. It's a big project. We started it, I guess, right after Pesach, and now it's January. It's been taking us a while. First of all, finding time to do it, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And I also saw that you have this Airbnb.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that a little bit. I saw that when I was.
So that's kind of. It's been a goal of both of ours individually that like she comes from a very entrepreneurial family. She went to a top school and top colleges. So like she's always wanted to buy real estate, and that was also one of my bucket list things that I would very much like to get into real estate, as you know, because I believe it's very, it's long term, very profitable, and it could be passive if you do it correctly. And I have the daytime hours. I work nights. I work at weddings. So I have the daytime hours to pursue this. So we jumped in together. She obviously she made it happen because
we got very lucky.
She's a doer. She said, what's the problem? What's the out? Let's just do it. Oh, I see a house. Let's just buy it. And then we start
He's hyping me up. He's hyping me up a lot. I could have never done it if I knew Avromi he'd managed Airbnbs for my dad for a little bit, and he's very diligent and very responsible. So I knew he'd be able to take care of it. I didn't just jump into. He's hyping me, but I want to return that a little bit because it's not all on me. I happens to be thank God I found this crazy gorgeous house on Zillow for a very good price. And yeah, he was busy that day. He had a job. I literally went.
She hopped into the car, called the realtor. Can I see you there in an hour? She ran after it.
We really aggressively pushed to get that because it was I thought it was gonna fall off the market in a few days, and I wasn't wrong about it. But we got it. Avromi's managing it. It's a gorgeous house, upstate New York. It's been. I'm saying we're still figuring out how to make it actually profitable. It's taking a lot of work. There's a lot of expenses because it's an old house, so it's using up a lot of energy. But I don't know. We both see a lot of potential in it, and I think it was a great thing for us.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's fun to work on these projects together. We could dream together. Pillow talk gets very exciting if you have these big projects.
That's beautiful. So anyone who's watching, listening, you should really check out. I looked at the house. I love going to Airbnbs all the time. I mean, it really is a really beautiful home.
It's a beautiful house.
It really is.
It's a gem.
Yes, the grounds are gorgeous.
It's got really tall ceilings, 28-foot ceilings. It's beautiful.
You can tell that there was I'm an architect. You can tell that there was a lot of intention, when designing that house. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I think it's really beautiful, and it's very spacious. It's really nice. So if anybody's watching and listening to us, go check out their Airbnb. It's so
come stay.
And you know what's convenient? Because it's just a car right away.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so beautiful to just be able to get into your car and then go away for a weekend or for a few days. And it's you feel like you're really away. And it didn't cost you anything extra, like an airfare.
Right.
So that's the real plus, I think, of your place and other Airbnbs. So I just wanted to plug that a little bit for you because I love them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I want to talk about if we can get a little deeper about, you guys are amazing, but in life we have challenges. So if you could share with us, have there been any challenges that have arisen? And it seems like you guys know how to handle challenges. But if you could share with us through your relationship, through the marriage, having kids, any form of area, it could be business, any challenges, that you feel comfortable sharing, I'd love to hear.
So of course we have challenges. Challenges are kind of it's like waves. They're kind of ongoing because
they evolve.
And they evolve exactly because of how when two people come together to start a life together, they're not the same. We're not the same. And I guess if we were the same, it would also not be good. You know what I mean? Two people coming together to work together, there's differences and they come up. So, I mean, I guess the one thing I could think of, what makes things hard for us that we constantly have to work through is obviously we like to start a lot of creative projects together. We spoke about so many here, and we tapped on the fact that Avromi and I are different, where I'm let's try it, let's do it, let's go person. And Avromi's very diligent and he gets it done. So what does that mean about him? He's a perfectionist and he's a professional, and he's the kind of guy that perfects his craft. Everything that he puts out has to be top notch and incredible. And by the time he's done, let's say, setting up the camera for a video that we're going to shoot, I'm tired of the idea of the video because I'm so busy jumping on the next idea. So him being so perfect and needing everything to be so perfect sometimes will create hardship, I think, in the process for me, because maybe we don't have that much time. We have kids. We don't have enough time to get it done.
Or she'll just lose motivation at that point. Sometimes, for example, we have probably 20 or 30 songs that we've started. Some are so close to the finish line. And just like it's really hard for us to collaborate because we have different visions because
Right.
we're both artists.
Or something that I think is good enough, he won't think is good enough. I guess that's a pretty big challenge, like thinking about it in a marriage. If you think that something's good enough, but your partner doesn't think it's good enough, it could feel like rejection, or you might not feel good enough. And I need to understand, I need to know who he is and know that he needs a perfect product, and that's him. And even though I'm okay with things being a little bit more raw, we kind of have to learn how to trust each other. So I need to trust that it could become better. And he has learned to trust me as well, that sometimes a raw product is also like, we, you know, or like if he doesn't see the vision in advance, sometimes he has a hard time going through with the project.
Right. A perfectionist needs to see the whole thing complete. And sometimes she's just willing to try and navigate and make direction turns and things like that. And with time,
Right.
I've had to learn to trust her, that she also knows what she's doing, and that she also knows how to produce music, and she also knows how to edit videos, and that she
Right.
also knows how to do all these super talented things that I thought I had the eye for or whatever. And like, you have to start learning this partner that like they really can handle a lot, and and if they have an idea. So, like, I had to really, it was a big challenge for me. I had to really learn that she's also an incredible musician and also a great video producer, etc.
Him saying these things like make me feel so good, because he's so good at what he does, and I'm like good at what I do, not like so good at what I do. And hearing him like say it, it makes me feel really good. I thank you for telling me I'm good at it. It's a big deal.
Yeah, I so relate to what you're saying. I think I'm more like an Avromi in the sense of I need everything to be done right and correct, and you know, I don't fly by the seat of my pants type of person. I like things organized. If someone says they're going to meet me at a certain time, you better be there at that certain time. You know, at my job, I like to understand the whole vision. I like to see things. I like to know all the different steps. In order for me to do a project, I need to know that it's going. You know, but there is a creative side to me, but I just can't follow through with that. And I think what you were saying, Shaindee, is really important, because to know if that's his personality, it's not a reflection of you.
Exactly.
You know, and that's what you were saying, that you guys have to know each other so well and understand the essence of each other, that it's not a reflection of each of you, but rather that is just who you are being you. And it doesn't mean that you're any worse off or he's any worse off. Everyone is just being who they are. And
honestly,
you know, it is like the ego. Get rid of that ego, right?
But I really think that, like, continuing what you're saying, it's extremely important for us, instead of looking at ourselves and what we're not good at, for us to look at, I know his personality and he's more of a perfectionist and has to get things done right. I shouldn't look at that as a bad thing because it's different from me. It's a great thing. And him looking at me with my wild and creative ideas, it's also a great thing, because once we start noticing what the other person brings to the table, I think that we end up having much better work. And I like, I don't want to say work, because it's not just work. It's like we end up having a much better outcome as a family, because we each bring something else to the table, and we're going to focus on that. We're going to focus on the good thing. And it's hard for me to adapt to his perfections. It's hard, but I know that that's going to make me better. If I'm lacking that, I should try to work through that. Like, I'll have a better outcome. So will he. I'm saying the Airbnb, Avromi can see like everything that will go wrong with a project before it starts, which is great, because he's able to plan for that, and he's able to tackle that in advance, and he knows what's gonna happen. But sometimes that makes him not start it at all, because he sees everything that's going to be wrong with it, because he has to do it correctly. And if he doesn't have the answer right now, he's like, I can't start yet. And by that time, the house is off the market. If you don't know the answer, you know, you're going to lose it. And that's what I see. I'm like, no, we're going to do it and we're going to figure it out later. Like, that's me, right? So in a way, like I called him, we were on the phone. We signed a contract on that house without Avromi ever seeing the house, which is a very big deal. For him to completely trust me was a huge deal. And I think it means a lot for our relationship that we came to that point.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I don't think it would have been the same if she'd called me in the middle of the day. Hey, I just saw a house. I'm going to see it right now. And I'm like, all right. And then she calls me and says, babe, we're buying this house. And I go, okay. Like a couple of years ago, I'd be like, no, I have to see it. What's wrong with it? How
Yeah.
old is it? Blah, blah, blah. But like she had a certain enthusiasm and a certain confidence in her voice. And I said, I trust you. If you say we're buying it, I completely trust you and we're going to buy it.
Without trust, we wouldn't have had that house.
Right. Without trust, and also I think a sense of appreciation. That's what I'm also hearing from the both of you. You're learning to appreciate each other's differences and how they complement each of your own personality traits. So that's really beautiful.
Right. We've learned that from here on out, she's the one that goes and finds all the properties, and then I fix them and put them out.
Good. It's great teamwork. That's that's what it is. That's a life together and working together as a team, and that what makes it go so smoothly. So talking about teamwork, let's shift it to the Instagram.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So you put out this video one Erev Shabbos, right? You guys were jamming, and then everyone loved it, and they suggested you come out with this Instagram account.
Right.
What were you thinking at that point in time?
We just figured it'll be a nice place to drop a random another Shabbos video. In the beginning, it was pretty much Shabbos videos.
Yeah, I was very excited though because I don't know. I didn't play as much music like right when I met Avromi as I did when I was a teenager. I was like very into music as a teenager, but then I went to architecture school, so it was basically boot camp for architects. So I stopped music for about 5 years. It was like a while where I really hardly played, and then I met him at the end of my education, and he's all music. So I was so excited now that like there was a place for me in his music world, A, and B, a place for me to honestly just when there's an audience, I'm here, I'm ready to play. Like I can sing and play like I would love to, but you don't like, I don't know, I'm not like so focused on my music as much that I don't just like pick it up and play without a little encouragement. So that account, I was very excited for it. Like now I know I'll be playing more music. Right. And people want to hear it. So I was very excited.
And knowing that people are there and wanting more, it actually motivates us to at least once a week try to sit down and jam. If we get something, a cool video out of it, awesome.
Right.
A lot of times we sit down and jam and there isn't a successful video.
Right.
Like we'll just,
And now I'm saying a lot of times we jam and there's no camera. Like I think we've got to that point where like we also like to play without the camera together. I'm not sure how much we played beforehand together. I don't remember.
No, totally. The people suggesting that we should open a joint Instagram account kind of clicked us together with the music. Before that, it was like here and there.
Right.
Also, it became like a new tradition. Also, then.
Yeah, totally, totally. And we used to focus on it a lot. We used to spend a lot more time on these videos for music, and then we had kids, and it slowed down like crazy. So we used to only post music on our account. Once we had kids, we kind of stopped posting because we didn't have time to make any music videos together. But now we use it more. I'm saying with the Instagram account, we have discussions about this, me and Avromi, like what's the purpose of it? Why are we even on Instagram? It started, we obviously know the story of how it started. It started as something really cute and fun. It still is, but now that like we grew to have a little bit of a bigger audience, it feels like important for us to understand what our purpose is. So we've had many conversations about it, and we kind of came to a conclusion that we don't like consider ourselves influencers or like brand ambassadors or anything like that. We're just straight up entertainers. We're here to put a smile on your face. If that means playing a song, if that means talking,
pranking people with tape in their face.
We just feel like we feel like we're here to just make, I don't know, like be a source of entertainment. We're entertainers. We're wacky people. Like,
That's really beautiful. And I love again, you can see that you're both very thinking people. You took the time, say pause, reflect. Now we have this Instagram account. What is the purpose? What are our goals with it? Life is not just whatever. And I think that's the beauty. And I think that definitely comes across. I remember one of the first times I reached out to you guys, I was just like, oh my gosh, the it's not only just the music that you play. Two people could play music together, but when you notice through the music how in sync you are as a couple, as human beings, that's the beauty. I think that's what comes off the screen on from Instagram to your audience, and I think that's why the following is so special that you have, and that was one of the reasons why I definitely wanted to interview. I didn't even realize how amazing it was going to be. I'm really just loving this and loving the conversation.
It's so sweet.
Yeah, I know, it's really awesome. So can we talk about the kids because they're so cute?
They're so cute. They're so cute. Thank you for loving them. When people love my kids, I'm like, oh, I love you more. My kids.
But especially when they put them on, and like, were you like nervous? Like, I know I'm by trade, I'm a teacher, and I'll tell you a little thing. It's so hard when you're a teacher and your child is not successful in school. It is like grueling. So were you like in the very beginning, like, oh my gosh, what happens if they have no talent?
Are you kidding? Are you even kidding? Of course. Why do you think I married a musician? I can't have a tone-deaf kid. I mean, I shouldn't say these things because, like, if I ever have a child that isn't musical, I mean, they're so young, but I do think, like what you said, it's going to be challenging. We'll just give them drums or something. I don't know. I'm joking. Right. Drums is very musical. That will be a different challenge. I think that kid will have its own.
We sometimes discuss it, like,
right?
What's if like there's like most of the family's very musical, and that one kid just is not blessed, like. We don't know how we're going to deal with it. We don't know. Right. We'll see.
We'll see how if it falls out. You know, for me, I'll tell you, I had two very interesting things. Growing up, I was a heavy set girl. Fat. I'll say it. I was fat. Okay. So, and I was made fun of a lot. And if I tell you, it was very painful. If I tell you, when I got married, I used to daven and daven and daven that my kids should not be fat. Because I just like, I would be lighting the Shabbat candles, and over there, that's the one thing I would say, please, Hashem, please, I don't want my kids to struggle with their weight. Please, please. It was so painful for me. That's what my prayers were. Can you imagine?
That was your pain.
That was my pain, and that was my prayers. Like, hello, what was wrong with me? Then I started having children, and then there were kids with learning issues, and I'm like, they were all skinny, but they had learning, and I'm like, this has to stop, like. And so I shifted my mindset, obviously. But I'm just saying, you know, sometimes when we grow up a certain way, we pray for certain things. So then another thing.
I totally prayed.
Right? Yeah. Right? You know what I'm talking about, right? Then I happened to be I happen to be a dancer by nature. And
cool.
So I, like all my kids, have rhythm, thank God. Some are better than others, but that's okay. And I remember came child number 2, and they have this special program where I live called Rut Zone. Malki Ginniger had started these groups for religious girls to have outlets on Sundays, and I signed her up, and I'm like, oh, they have dance, song, and drama. So I signed her up for dance. She comes home and she says, Ima, I want to do song. I said, but you're a dancer. She's like, but Ima, I want to do song. And I'm like, why? And I'm like, you know what? Jordana, stop. Let her do it. And I let her do it. And she has the most beautiful voice. Unbelievable. Wow. And only now looking back, I realized, ready from age 2, she walked around the house. She never spoke. She just sang the whole time. But I didn't pick up on it. Like if she had homework, she was singing. She has homework. If she's, cleaning for Shabbos, she would say, you know what I'm saying? And now she has 4 kids herself, and her oldest is 3, and she takes videos. She goes, Emas, this is what I sounded like. She's like, because her oldest. I love her. And it's cute. I'm like, yeah, that's what you did all the time. You just sang and sang and sang and sang, So it's so funny. You have to forgo it sometimes. But you guys, are into that. I wasn't a singer, and I'm like, I still did not pick up on the cues at all. So it's so interesting, like we have this mindset, and because we're a certain way, we expect
So I'm very worried about that. Happens to be like, I think about it. I talk about this with people also. Like, I don't want my kids to be like music was shoved down their throats and then like they reject it, even if they're very talented. It happens sometimes. So it's
common with artists that their children don't want to have anything to do with the art that their parents were very much.
But at the same time, I want them like by a certain age to have a certain set of skills, because if a parent gives the kid the skill, like teachers or whatever, the kids will have it. I remember I was so young, and I did like gymnastics when I was really young, and by the time I was like 10, I was a legitimate gymnast, and it was cool for me like to have that skill. It's because my parents put me into gymnastics that I have that, you know. So not anymore now, but whatever. I can't do anything.
But yeah, it's just about expanding their horizons and their.
Yeah, why not? You teach them when they're little, they learn so much more. So I want to teach them everything because they obviously have a knack for it. You see, I'm saying we post videos of them. My 1-year-old is singing as well. Like they're both 2-year-old and 1-year-old are singing really well. Of course, I want to give them as much music as I can. Let them have as much as they, let them know instruments by the time they're 10. Why not? But the fear is that because they're going to know, because kids know their parents, how badly we want them to succeed in that, they hopefully will not reject it.
Well, music is an art, and art is something that's generally earned through love and through dedication. And it's really hard to force art. It's really hard to force art. So, like, there's it's common. Musicians, children, a lot of times don't want to play music simply because they didn't care for it as much, and they didn't invest in it, and it's not something they were interested in. It was something that was around them. So I just hope we'll be open enough, kind of like what you said, like be open that like,
what do you want to do?
One kid might want to paint really nicely, and the entrepreneurial father will say, paint is not profitable, like.
Oh, that's totally going to be
like
him.
That's
I'm going to be like, let her paint. Or him. He's a painter, like. Yeah,
So hopefully we'll be in the right mindset to let our kids explore and go wherever they feel that, they'd like to go.
Avromi has one rule, though. No violin.
No violin.
Oh, okay.
It sounds like a crying cat to me.
I love violin. Yeah, you but Avromi hates it. I totally would do it. But
Here's my rant on violin. There's only 2 violins. There's 2 violinists. One, he plays a song, you go, wow, that's beautiful. The other, ooh, please, that's like a crying cat. Oh, man. And, like, you've never met a violinist and gone, well, he's okay. He's okay. It's like a 10-year difference of, like...
Okay, you have to understand, Avromi's ear is, like, we spoke about how perfect he is. He has a perfect ear. Like, he can't handle when things are a little off. I'm, like, okay with it. Like, it's okay. It's not great, but I see the potential.
I hear that it becomes cringy for him. I get that, right?
It does. It's a big deal.
Yeah,
it's okay.
It's okay. Like when I'll tell you, as your kids will get older, they'll have these performances in school, and all the kids are up on the stage. Whether it be their sitter play, their chumash play, the state fair, whatever it is, and it's a variety of children, and it becomes cringy as a parent when you see other kids. Number one, there are kids that don't want to be up there performing, and we force them in the school environments. Like if we would just be a little bit more open-minded, maybe give them a different job, because they're on display now for everybody to see, total display. And there are these 2 or 3 kids that stand there mute, like they refuse to do it, or they're offbeat from everybody else. Everyone's putting their hands up, they're putting their hands down. I mean, can you imagine if that's your kid? Like how it's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. Like that one, I'll tell you that one daughter that became the singer, when she was in kindergarten, she never would perform. And I remember I went to like the graduation and she wasn't doing anything. And the boy next to her, like nudged her to do her part. She took her hand and whacked him. and you know what? Here, the best part of it all is that daughter and that my older granddaughter, she's now 3. They used to she would like try to bake with her, but she would like want to make it fun. So like when she was like a 2 years old, she'd put the camera while they're baking, and she said to her daughter, she's like, "Okay, now it's time to smile." My granddaughter was like, "This."
You're like, "Oh,
I've seen that before."
Comes around, goes around, and all the way back around.
There you go. That's good. We gotta have some music coming on here. but that's 100%, But that's what it is. I think in schools also they have to realize that there are different children, not one size fits all. So I'm telling you, I get the cringe. I get that. I mean, you just have to pray that it's not your child up there that's making everybody cringe. That's 100% true. Yeah,
right. And just to follow up on that, sometimes kids find themselves later in life
Right.
I spent 2 years in Darche Farakwe, Darche Torah Farakwe. I graduated from there, and they have this incredible program called Vocational Program, where they have a really big room dedicated to teaching the 10 to 15 kids in the school that just don't have the patience to sit through science class or algebra and whatnot. I was in that class, and they teach you everything from ground up about construction and building a house, everything from framing it, from running the wires, running the plumbing, how to put the walls up, paint, tile,
Wow.
everything, and you really you build a mini house with a bathroom and a kid, and
Really cool.
and I found there were kids in that class that were some would completely write them off as like no talents or no gifts, and they completely got hooked and they clicked. And you never know, they can come out being a super skilled contractor or a handyman or whatnot. And they were never given a creative outlet,
Right.
or their parents,
And
or
if you're not good at school,
yeah,
then you're made to believe in your youngest years that you're not good.
right. And if you're not artistic, and if you don't have good tempo for dance, or you're not creative, like there's a lot of areas for you to like to get slipped
Right.
through the system.
Right.
And some schools, like for example, Darche, they had a really cool program that gave a very good outlet for the kids that are off the beaten path, and they could really flourish in these programs.
Wow. Yeah, thank you for bringing that out here. That's so important. I think that's
Right.
important for everyone to hear 100%. And
Right.
it's
And
obvious.
people always want to know how do I know how to build a bus or like what
Right.
things like that. Well, I took a class and they taught me how to be competent with my hands.
Thank you, vocational.
Yeah, but I think it's obvious that both of you come from homes that knew how to highlight and find your strengths. Because I think that's key as a parent is know your children, know their strengths, and don't be afraid to let them veer off what isn't your path. Right.
Right.
And I think that's obviously if your parents did that for you and you're able,
Yeah.
God willing, you'll be able to do that for your own kids. But I have a
I
cute
hope so.
question. Cute question for you. Okay. I know you might have seen it in advance. If you would think about a song or a book or a movie that would best describe you guys.
This is the question that we were like, oh, we don't know. I don't know. But haven't
Like
seen
thinking,
it
oh, please, I hope she doesn't ask this one.
Yeah, that was the one. But I thought of one. What's that Barbra Streisand song? The Best Friend song. What's it called?
I'd want it to be
You know that I'd want it to be you.
mhm.
I don't know what it's called. I'd want it to be you, maybe. Avromi's gonna check.
Okay, let him check. Let him check
Do you
which one it is.
agree that that song is us?
Mhm.
I don't know if that song is us, but that song is our song. Like, it's a song that...
Yeah, let's hear why.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why is it
It's called I'd Want It to Be You. And it's a song about it's Barbra Streisand with Blake Shelton, and they take the chorus and the chorus and the verse, and they switch off singing how they both want to be in each other's life, and
It speaks about, like, if I had one friend left, like, if I had one person in this whole world left, I'd want it to be you. Like, and we feel like we're best friends. We really do. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess at the expense of our social lives, which are very, very important. We both believe that we, like, really need to keep up social outside of us, because it's friends, like girlfriends and boyfriends you can't compare. They're very different, but we do fill a lot of that for each other. Right. So yeah, we do so many fun things together. We want to go everywhere together. We feel like we're best friends. It sounds so cheesy. I hate that way it sounds. I hate the way.
So when's your anniversary?
August 2nd.
So what do you
I was gonna say August 3rd. I don't know why.
How about you make any plans? What do you plan on doing for your next anniversary, guys?
I don't even know what we did for last year.
Funny.
We're not big anniversariers. I don't know why. Why are we not?
Probably because we traveled like for 2 weeks, like a few weeks before that.
Also, Avromi's schedule is really hard. He works every single night. Actually, he's like out every night. We put the kids to bed. Avromi's in the car going to work. And that makes it that we can't really go out at night or go anywhere because he's tied down to his jobs because he books them so far in advance. He has bookings now probably in June. Like he's booked so far in advance. So planning trips kind of fall into like Sphira, 3 weeks.
Got it.
Right.
That kind of
we
thing.
get chunks of time that we could travel, like Sphira in the 3 weeks. And interestingly enough, I work mostly Hasidic weddings. They don't make weddings for a whole week before Rosh Chodesh. So a lot of our trips happen, you know, if we could squeeze in a couple of days before Rosh Chodesh. So I don't remember what we did for our anniversary because I was probably working.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm sure we took a trip sometime around then.
I don't know. We're not. Yeah, I guess we don't celebrate it like that way.
Okay. That's fine. So how would you like to maybe end off with a little song for us?
Should we sing a song?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Right, we did.
We just made a reel and we posted it. Should we sing that one?
Yeah, sure.
All right, impromptu right here.
Impromptu. Here we go.
I don't wanna act too high and mighty, 'cause tomorrow I may fall down on my face. So let's thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, and thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Let's thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day.
Beautiful. And you guys are beautiful people. So I really want to thank you for joining and being a part of season 10. This is really awesome. If people wanted to contact you, what's the best way they could contact both of you?
I guess through Instagram.
They can message us on Instagram.
We respond. We're there. And we want to thank you for hosting us and welcoming on to your podcast.
Yeah.
This is special.
It's really special. You're very good vibes.
Oh,
you exude really positive energy, and it's really fun talking to you. And congratulations on season 10. That's a big deal.
Thank you. I appreciate
I mean, staying consistent for 10 seasons, I don't even think I'd be able to get like past one season if I like that's a big deal.
That's what I said. I'm like,
consistent. It's an amazing thing to have. Like consistency. I want that. Okay. I want to work on that.
You got Avromi there, so you got your. Anyway, have a great day, guys. Enjoy.
Thank you. Be well. All the best.
Bye.